woodwork that I do is kind of counterbalances the metalwork, which is really labor intensive and planned and thought out. It's almost like an escape from that, because art to me is what I want to do most. But I prefer to spend my time doing that over just about anything else. Sometimes I'll have zero plan and just find a big block of wood and just start cutting into it and carving it and shaping it, and it kind of speaks to me in terms of the way what shape it wants to take. The approach for that is kind of to let the materials speak for itself. It's got a life of its own, and the stories keep coming out and they kind of guide. I almost feel like a vessel, and it speaks through me, and instead of me trying to create something, I'm just the hands that create it in a way. When I was a single guy living in Tahoe with my dog, I was living in a small studio, and every morning I'd get up and walk down to the river and stack stones by the river. And eventually I had like 40, 50 stacks of stones along this river, just that meditation of stacking those stones. So I thought that was a good place to start, kind of getting back to the basics and balance. Showing work in a gallery, it's a bit of a mixed bag, because sometimes what happens when you have an audience, that art starts morphing a little bit to what they like, to what they want, to what sells. That can be a dangerous path. I think the real core around doing good art, doing your best work, is when you're doing it for yourself. I've been doing art with my kids since they were really little. Pretty nice having that studio shop at home, because they can come out and explore what it is to make things with their hands, Just trying to share my love for that with them, and I think they've all gotten a lot out of it. I tend to not stick with one specific medium, for example. I work in wood and an entirely different series in metal, and part of that's just to keep the learning process fresh. My metalwork came about organically in some paintings I was doing, and it was a kind of a development that occurred in these paintings, like a recurring theme I kept finding myself painting, and it was often of a young boy in these precarious situations. I was on the beach with my mom, and a big wave came in and pulled me out. Maybe this buried trauma. I painted that picture, in a kind of a surreal setting with the Golden Gate Bridge in the background, and I kept painting this boy, and I think kind of a way of relating to facing fears. The Kraken is, kind of this big, dark, oversized creature interacting with this young boy who's exploring his universe. Who the boy represents on a personal level, it's being a dad and having a kid, and that experience of really having something that you love so much that's so dependent on you is beautiful and terrifying at the same time. The real beauty of art is the journey, is the creation, is the actual process of creating. And I think early on I wanted to kind of approach it from a business aspect, develop a product and have that product be sellable, and that was going to be my lifestyle and what I did for a career. And I realized along the way that I needed to take all that out. It took the joy and the authenticity out of the art. When that moment kind of hit, everything changed, and I kind of crossed this threshold with the quality of my art, the subject matter, and the story kind of opened up, and I do it for the sake of making the art, not for any other reason. metal pieces themselves are outside of what I had ever done before. They're really intricate, involved, and detailed. I think that's about just trying to capture those little things that are represented in those emotions. An old memory is wearing these pajamas as a kid, so I tried to capture that, a little kid wearing pajamas and the texture of those pajamas, and tried to really show that in the piece in metal. The series is a progression of the boy's relationship with that fear and kind of coming to terms with it. The boy driving the Kraken, it's like him interacting with the octopus, and he's driving the ship at that point, and the ship is his own demons. It's been an exploration for sure. The beauty around art is the journey, not necessarily the end result. That process has been pretty therapeutic in trying to figure out where this is coming from and what it's about. Finding your way, that's part of the Diver Boy theme, is just finding what it is that you're supposed to be doing.